Hi, this is information on assessment for leadership in teams. So as you know, there are 4 assessment items for this. You've looked at your work styles with your team, you've launched your virtual team, you've then you will do a group pekakushka, and then the final assessment, which is about the group dynamics and recommendations for your team's performance. So this task serves to bring together all of your observations and your experiences and reflections in regard to how your teams work, okay? And the leadership that you've observed, shaped and participated in through the session. So this is where you integrate theory with practice, okay? So it's that dialectic approach. So this is worth 40%. It's due on the 11th of October and it's 3,000 words, which is quite a lot of words. So I can see that some of you may write 2.5, and look, it says you'll be penalised, but I won't be penalising you if it's 2,500 up to 3,500. I don't get too head up about those things. If you write really well and you cover everything really well, that's great. If you think that you're going to go way over and a lot of your concepts can be included in appendices, put them in appendices. I may look at the appendices, I may not. I might just glance over them. But remember, this is for your own future work as well. It's always good that you can go back to what you've done and actually, reflect on that, and you've got that assessment and you've got the information there that you can use in your own practice. So you're asked to look back on your experiences of leadership in teams and the group dynamics as you engaged in this task of preparing the PK presentation. So you're going to focus on the following questions, and there's 3 separate headings for these. What value do the theories and concepts learned in this subject bring to your own leadership practice in your own context? So the response is going to cover a critique, and we'll talk about critical analysis and critiquing, of the leadership and group theories and concepts in the context of practical application, which demonstrates that you have an awareness and understanding of the subject literature and beyond, if you want a distinction or above, and the application of research to your own leadership practice. So what's that about? So that's you actually identifying the theory and concepts, what you learned in your group, what were the group dynamics, etc. Because a lot of the theory and concepts are about group dynamics, team performance, etc. And how do you actually bring those into your own leadership practice as well? But we want to see you doing quite a critical analysis of the leadership and group theories and how they actually played out in the team. The second part is, how could the performance of the team be improved? So think about how the team worked together, the sweet spots, when you were working really well, when there were issues, barriers, conflict, lack of decision making, you name it. So think about where you could have improved. Think about where you worked really well. You can include that, but think about some of the areas that could have been enhanced, particularly if you maybe relied a bit more on the theoretical constructs. So include detailed recommendations that do draw on those theory and concepts, as well as the practical collective learning of the group. So what did the group learn? So you can only actually look at how you performed after you've looked at, what you learnt and how you learnt together. And the third thing, what was your role in the team? So what role did you play? You might have played the integrator role, you might have played the technical support person, you might have played the person who provided some peer coaching, you might have played the role of script writer, you might have played a deeper role, you might have played the role of skeptic. So think about the roles that you played, whether they were more task-oriented or more relational roles. And maybe think about, well, why do you think you employ more task-oriented roles than relational roles? What is it that maybe you've learnt about how you need to get a balance between these things? And your personal learning and the leadership practice that you wish to develop. And that relates back to the first question as well. So this will be written as a final reflection. So your role, your personal stuff is going to be written as a final reflection of your learning and application to your own leadership practice. So this is really personal, this particular section. So look at this. When we think critically, we are being active. We are not passively accepting everything we read and hear, but questioning, evaluating, making judgments, finding connections and categorizing. It means being open to other points of view and not being blinded by our own biases. So we're really looking under the house. It means being open in researching and analysing leadership practice. It includes asking questions, identifying problems and solutions, relating theory to practice, stating an argument and supporting it with evidence. So you don't just kind of write about something that you know I believe or whatever. You argue or you propose or you suggest, but you actually support it with evidence. And it could be personal evidence from your practice. It could be, but really for this assessment, evidence from how you worked in the team. So you make comparisons and evaluation. So this is getting below the surface level. We don't just want a descriptive account, well, this theory, you know, blah, 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 and unpacking what that theory is. How does this theory apply to how your group worked, you know? Becoming more, you know, questioning, evaluating, well, did this actually, you know, what was going on here in this group? We were at a, you know, storming stage for a very long time and we seemed to never be able to get to the norming or, you know, those sorts of things. Or, you know, nobody played the skeptic role. Relate that to theory, etc. So look more critically. So the report, and there is a guidance for the report format under the Interact 2 Resources Assessment 4 link. Executive summary, table of contents, introduction, section headings as per the tasks. I'll talk about those in a minute. And then your reference list in APA 7 format, please. So the section headings, this is only a guide. Some people get really creative with their headings and I really like that. As long as I can follow the logic of your report. If you just write all over that and you've kind of put a reflection in here and you've written and I have to cherry pick to find where that reflection is, or I have to cherry pick to find, you know, where the theoretical analysis is, that's difficult for me. And it's difficult for other readers, and it might be another marker, it might be another reader. So think about your audience. Just going to have to grab a bit of a drink here, unfortunately. Sorry about that. So the theoretical analysis, the critique of the team performance, and the reflection. So this, as I said before, serves as a conclusion to your report. So you can put reflection and conclusion if you want to. So write in the first person. I think, I realised, I argue, I was uncomfortable. You can see further notes on reflective writing in resources. And excuse me for drinking. Plagiarism checking. So we've had a bit of a to and fro about plagiarism checking. I normally set up my own class sites, but I have been told by the school that it's important to use the school account because if something happens to me and somebody else has to mark it or with the moderator, etc., and we have to with academic integrity now, and with the tertiary education standards, we have to check everything and turn it in. So the class ID key is there, 2320560. You'll also get this PowerPoint. I've also uploaded all of these instructions under each of the assessment tasks, so you can look at those there as well. And the enrolment key is pretty easy to remember, CSU1. And I've put the guides, as I said, under the assessment section. There's a couple of guides that'll help you as well. Marking criteria, always go to the marking criteria because this is a really good gauge of how you can get your high distinctions and your distinctions. So, the critique of leadership and group theories and concepts in the context of practical application is worth 40%. So that's quite a bit. So that's that first section. Work across to see what you're going to be aiming for. A lot of people just want to aim for a credit, and that's just a description. It's solid and it's supported by theory and demonstrates sound understanding. Then we move up to a more comprehensive analysis in a distinction, and then we have a more insightful and outstanding and very well supported by a wide range of theory. So much more literature, a deep understanding of the link between theory and practice. The recommendations for improving the team performance, so you've got really good exemplary recommendations. They're insightful and they're linked to your analysis, etc. all the way down. So if there's no recommendations made, it's a fail for that. But if you've only got a few recommendations and they're really not that, they're just kind of popped in at the end, which some people do. I've got 4 recommendations for improving the team performance, but you haven't really discussed a lot about the team performance and they're not really linked. It just looks like your ideas that, maybe the team could do better in 3 different ways, but you actually haven't kind of really explicated that and related it back to that team experience. Referencing and presentation always, and includes compliance with word limit, and as I've said at the beginning, I'm a bit flexible, but if you start to write War and Peace, I won't keep reading, so you'll miss out, and if it's way too short, you will be penalised, particularly if you write under 2,000 words, 2,500 words. APA 7th style is really important that you actually use APA 7th style. It's not a lot different to APA 6th. I do recommend students, because you're studying a lot of subjects, install EndNote, or go to the APA referencing tool on the student portal site. Install something because it makes it easier. You can adjust your EndNote library to 7, I hope. And if you can't, it's really easy to tweak your references to 7. In fact, I think 7's a lot easier than 6. For instance, with, say, 3 or more authors, you can write Smith et al. Right at the beginning. You don't have to put Smith, Jones, White, Brown, da-da-da. You can just do Smith et al., as I said, at the beginning. So that makes it a lot easier. So there's a lot of things that are easier. The other thing that I like about APA 7th is it's very encouraging of gender-neutral language, which I think is really important. So make sure that you're following that. Your writing flows, your very limited grammatical errors and typographical errors as well. But by the time you get to this 4th assessment, and some of you have done quite a few subjects, there's no issues here. So if you have any other questions, post to the assessment forum. Sorry I haven't been as diligent with that and you have been posting questions. I have answered those now. If you have any other questions, but email me in the first instance anyway, and I can repurpose to the assessment forum. If you've got questions about other things, email me. If you want to engage or ask questions of your peers, put them up on the main discussion forum. It's nice to see people coming in and answering the questions for me, because quite often people have got the answer before I have anyway. Just remember there are no right answers and there are no dumb questions. So right away to me, send me questions. Quite often these tasks are quite confusing, and so I I'm encouraging you to reach out to me. So thank you for listening, and I hope you get good value out of this video. Cheers.